Formula One history is ruthless when it comes to regulation resets. Whenever the rulebook is torn up, dominance doesn't slowly fade, it collapses. Ferrari ruled the early 2000s until the 2005 changes wiped out their advantage overnight. Red Bull's four-year reign ended the moment turbo hybrids arrived in 2014. Mercedes conquered the sport for nearly a decade, only to be humbled instantly when ground effect cars debuted in 2022. Every era tells the same story. When Formula One reinvents itself, the kings fall hard. Now the sport is preparing for the most dramatic transformation in over 60 years. And at first glance, it looks like Max Verstappen and Red Bull are walking straight into a perfect storm. The 2026 regulations don't just tweak performance, they redefine what an F1 car actually is. Power unit philosophy flips on its head. Today's cars rely heavily on internal combustion, producing roughly 3/4 of their power from the engine and the rest from electric systems. In 2026, that balance completely reverses. Combustion output drops to around 540 horsepower, while electric power surges to nearly 470. The result is a near 50-50 split that fundamentally changes acceleration, throttle response, and energy deployment. Some familiar systems disappear entirely. The complicated MGUH, infamous for early hybrid-era failures, is gone. In its place comes a simplified but far more demanding energy system that forces drivers to actively manage power in real time. A new overtake mode replaces traditional DRS concepts, activating automatically when cars are close enough, promising closer racing, but also increasing cognitive load behind the wheel. The cars themselves shrink and slim down. Minimum weight drops by 30 kilograms. Wheelbases shorten. Overall width narrows. Active aerodynamic surfaces now adjust continuously, switching between cornering and straight-line efficiency without driver input. Initial plans for massive downforce cuts were abandoned after simulations showed lap times would balloon by seconds, so the final targets settle on a still significant reduction. This is not evolution. It's a clean break from everything modern Formula One has been built around. History says this is exactly when champions struggle the most. Teams lose their reference points, engineering assumptions fail, development paths lead nowhere, and recovery can take years. So, on paper, 2026 should be the moment Verstappen finally looks mortal. But that assumption ignores one uncomfortable detail. Max Verstappen has already survived a reset like this once before. If rule changes are supposed to end dynasties, why does Verstappen keep slipping through the cracks? The evidence is overwhelming. Major regulation changes don't just slow dominant drivers, they derail them completely. Michael Schumacher won 13 races in 2004 and looked untouchable. 1 year later, after regulation changes, he managed just a single victory, and that came during one of the most controversial races in F1 history. Sebastian Vettel's collapse was even harsher. After a record-breaking 2013 season, the hybrid era arrived and wiped out his advantage entirely. 0 wins. 5th in the standings, beaten convincingly by his own teammate. Lewis Hamilton experienced the same fate. Ground effect regulations arrived in 2022, and Mercedes misjudged the concept catastrophically. Porpoising plagued the car, forcing Hamilton to endure physical pain just to finish races. For the first time in his career, an entire season passed without a win or a pole position. Nearly 3 years went by before he stood on the top step again. The pattern never breaks, until Max Verstappen enters the picture. When ground effect cars debuted, rivals struggled to understand ride height sensitivity, airflow ceiling, and aerodynamic instability. Verstappen adapted immediately. While others wrestled with unpredictable cars, he thrived. Even after both Red Bulls retired from the opening race, he erased the largest points deficit in Formula One history. By season's end, he wasn't just champion, he was dominant. The reason lies in how Verstappen drives. Engineers describe him as unusually comfortable with a car that rotates aggressively on entry. He brakes in distinct phases, creating rotation early and pointing the car toward corner exits sooner than most drivers dare. Former teammates have described his preference for pointy front ends that would terrify others. Where instability scares drivers, Verstappen uses it. That adaptability became even clearer during the 2025 season. Red Bull no longer had the best car. Rivals often outpaced them over a single lap. Yet Verstappen stayed in the title fight almost to the end. Despite trailing by over 100 points mid-season, he mounted a late charge that included multiple wins against faster machinery. He didn't dominate. He extracted everything that existed.
That matters because 2026 won't reward drivers who rely on predictable cars. It will favor those who can adapt instantly, manage complex systems under pressure, and remain fast while thinking several steps ahead. And Verstappen has already shown that he can do exactly that, even when the car beneath him isn't perfect. But adaptability alone won't be enough in 2026, because Red Bull is about to take its biggest gamble ever. For all of Verstappen's brilliance, 2026 introduces a danger Red Bull has never faced before. They are building their own Formula One engine for the first time. Until now, Red Bull's success relied on partners. That changes with the launch of their in-house power unit program, backed by a long-term partnership with Ford. Hundreds of millions have been invested. A dedicated facility now operates at full capacity. Experienced engineers, many recruited directly from Mercedes' championship-winning engine division, form the backbone of the project. On paper, it's ambitious. In reality, it's terrifying. Engine programs are brutally complex, especially under new regulations that demand efficiency, reliability, and flawless energy management. Established manufacturers like Mercedes and Ferrari bring decades of experience. Audi enters the sport with massive financial backing and personnel from proven teams. Aston Martin pairs Honda power with one of the most influential designers in history. Meanwhile, Red Bull faces internal disruption at the worst possible time. Adrian Newey, the architect behind every modern Red Bull championship car, has stepped away from the 2026 project entirely. Senior leadership changes follow. Institutional knowledge drains out just as the team attempts the most complex technical leap in its history. Even within Red Bull, expectations are cautious. No one believes instant dominance is guaranteed. Early struggles are anticipated. Catching up mid-season is the realistic target. Yet, there's a strange contradiction hiding in all this risk. The 2026 cars will place unprecedented demands on drivers. Energy deployment decisions happen corner by corner. Recovery, harvesting, and overtaking systems must be balanced continuously. Simulator work becomes more important than ever because track testing is limited and complexity is high. And this is where Verstappen's profile quietly becomes an advantage. Unlike older generations, Verstappen grew up immersed in simulators. He thrives in virtual environments. He processes data quickly, adapts rapidly, and enjoys the mental challenge of managing systems while driving at the limit. Several figures within the paddock have hinted that this simulator-native generation may hold a decisive edge. Add in lighter cars, sharper handling, and reduced mass, all traits that align with Verstappen's aggressive, rotation-heavy style, and the picture becomes less bleak. Red Bull may be vulnerable, but they may also have the one driver capable of carrying them through chaos. So, if history says dynasties collapse, why does 2026 feel like it could become Verstappen's most dangerous opportunity yet? Everything about 2026 screams uncertainty. An untested Red Bull engine faces manufacturers with generations of experience. The team's most influential designer now works for a rival. Leadership stability has been shaken. On paper, this should be the year Red Bull falls back into the pack. And yet, Formula One has never been shaped solely by paper logic. Verstappen has built his career on defying patterns. He adapted instantly to ground effect cars, while others floundered. He nearly won a championship in machinery that wasn't the best. He thrives in unstable conditions where others search for comfort. Even his own perspective has shifted. Once dismissive of the new regulations, he now speaks with cautious curiosity. The cars might be demanding. They might be unpredictable. They might be difficult to master, but that has never stopped him before. What makes 2026 different isn't just the technology. It's the way success will be earned. Drivers won't simply react. They'll manage systems, anticipate energy windows, and make constant strategic decisions while fighting wheel to wheel. It's a thinking driver's era. That doesn't guarantee success. History still looms large. Dominant teams usually stumble when the ground shifts this violently. Red Bull's margin for error is thin. But if anyone is positioned to bend that rule, it's the driver who already has once. When the lights go out at the first race of 2026, answers will arrive fast. Either history repeats itself, or Max Verstappen once again rewrites what's supposed to happen in Formula One. So, when the biggest reset in modern F1 history finally arrives, will the king fall like all the others? Or will Max Verstappen prove, once again, that history doesn't apply to him?